I was born to preach the gospel. I was born to preach the gospel. I was born to preach the gospel. And I sure do love my job, yeah. I was born to preach the gospel. I was born to preach the gospel. I'm born to preach the gospel. And I sure do love my job, yeah. Yes, I really love my job. I'm a disciple that makes disciples, that makes disciples. Oh, I'm a disciple that makes disciples, that makes disciples. I'm a disciple that makes disciples, that makes disciples. Yes, I'm a disciple that makes disciples, that makes disciples. I'm a disciple that makes disciples, that makes disciples. I'm a disciple that makes disciples, that makes disciples. Get firmly rooted. So let's get firmly rooted. Let's get firmly rooted. So let's get firmly rooted. Oh, I'm a disciple that makes disciples, that makes disciples. I'm a disciple that makes disciples, that makes disciples. I'm a disciple that makes disciples, that makes disciples. Let's get firmly rooted. Firmly rooted. Let's get firmly rooted. Yeshua, 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 Yeshua. I'm a disciple that makes disciples, that makes disciples. We're disciples that make disciples, that make disciples. We are disciples that make disciples, that make disciples. We are disciples that make disciples, that make disciples. Let's keep firmly rooted. Firmly rooted.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Monday morning. Pastor Tom Donnelly, Firmly Rooted Ministries, and we're going to strengthen our roots. Pamela C., so good to see you the other day. Glad you came by the coffee shop. Cindy Siebert, good morning. Vivian Davis, good morning. Olivia Thompson, I have some money for you for your Bible from the donor that wanted to make sure that they paid for your first study Bible. So you got to let me know maybe in a text message how to work that out with you. Steve Giroux, good morning. Bert Reggiani, good morning. Nikki Chasen, good morning. Jackie Matus, good morning. Ava, good morning. Karen Thompson, good morning. Well, the Thompsons are represented, I'll tell you that. All right. Emily Connolly, good morning. And to Abby, too. All right. So we have been following Paul, right? He goes to Jerusalem, does everything right, ends up like they got a riot going on. Roman soldiers get him. It so echoes what happened with Jesus, right? When the kingdom of this world starts to attack God's kingdom, it's in lies and deception, right? So the religious leaders, even in Jesus's day and here in Paul, lied. They weren't doing anything wrong. Paul was just doing what he was supposed to do, and they just didn't like him, and they didn't like his teaching. And so what they do is the same thing they do with Jesus. They say, hey, Rome, he really is preaching some other loyalty than Caesar. And so all of a sudden, you make it their issue. And so now Paul has been he was sent to Caesarea. Remember all those horses and soldiers that protected him because those people took that oath not to eat or drink until Paul was dead. By the way, I wonder when they broke that oath, because they didn't end up killing Paul. The Romans are going to. But so now he's in Caesarea, and Felix is the governor. And so he does what he's supposed to do. He pulls the groups together, and listen to what they say about Paul, his accusers. We have found this man to be a troublemaker, stirring up riots among the Jews all over the world. Paul wasn't the one stirring up riots. It was the people who opposed him that stirred up the riots. This is where the enemy lies. He is a ringleader of the Nazarene sect and even tried to desecrate the temple. Lie. So we seized him. By examining him yourself, you will be able to learn the truth about all the charges we are bringing against him. And then all the Jews joined in the accusation, asserting these things were true. Then he motions to Paul. And Paul begins to talk. You can easily verify that no more than 12 days ago, I went up to Jerusalem to worship. My accusers did not find me arguing with anyone in the temple or stirring up a crowd in the synagogues or anywhere else in the city. And they cannot prove to you that the charges they are now making against me. However, I admit that I worship the God of our fathers as a follower of the way, which they call a sect. I believe everything that agrees with the law and that is written in the prophets, and I have the same hope in God as these men, that there is a resurrection of both the righteous and the wicked. He talks about going on a mission trip. He talks about bringing back gifts to help those who were in Jerusalem. He does talk, though, about some Jews from Asia Minor that didn't like what he was doing and kept bringing false charges against him. And then he finally says, or these who are here should state that crime they found me. What crime was I doing as I stood before the Sanhedrin? Unless it was this one thing I shouted as I stood in their presence, it is concerning the resurrection of the dead that I'm on trial before you today. Felix, somewhat familiar with the way, decides that he wants to continue to talk to Paul on and off. And so he sends everybody away. He puts Paul back in jail, but a loose jail. His friends can visit him, be with him, and support him. So he's like in a house, right? That it's like today where you'd have the tether on your ankle and you got to stay at your house. Well, that's kind of what Paul's situation is. And this reading ends with that Felix would call Paul periodically to him and talk. And when he got a little bit too sensitive, he would tell Paul to go away, and then he'd have him come back. And I just want you to realize that Paul's just adapting. He's a believer in Jesus Christ, and his circumstances have changed. His days of being a missionary, a man who's on a missionary journeys, is ended, but not his mission. Nothing is going to stop his mission, and his mission is to share Jesus with whoever he can. And so even Felix, he makes sure that he gets Jesus in there. He makes sure that he gets the resurrection of the dead in there. How this reading ends, this section, is for 2 years. Paul is in a house arrest in Caesarea, and Felix dies, and Festus takes his place. And so now Festus is going to want to hear from Paul. And that's where we'll go tomorrow. So what's the takeaway for all of us? Regardless of the circumstances that we may be going through in the kingdom of this world, you and I, our mission doesn't change. Every day that you and I are alive and awake, lungs breathing, heart beating, we hope that maybe some way someone sees Jesus in us. It's ultimately that simple, that we would be so deeply in love with Jesus that his light would shine and reflect off of us, and we would be salt, preservative to a dying world. So that's what I have for you. Blessings on your day. Make it a firmly rooted day, and may someone see Jesus in us today. Peace.